So this was legitimately one of the funniest things that I have ever seen in covering politics. President Trump had a ceremony to honor the Navajo Code Talkers. For those who don't know the Navajo Code Talkers, go watch the Nicolas Cage movie Wind Talkers, which is about the Navajo Code Talkers, a group of Navajo Indians, Native Americans who, during World War II, were used to decode German and Japanese messages because they were just amazingly good at it. And so they were honored at the White House yesterday in a ceremony. Now, this is directly out of Veep or Arrested Development, or, I mean, it really is amazing. First of all, you have to start, we should flash the image up so before we start so people can see what we're talking about. First of all, you can see behind President Trump is a portrait. You can't see the head in that portrait just because the shot isn't wide enough. The head in the portrait is that of Andrew Jackson. So they are doing an event honoring Native Americans who served the United States in front of a portrait of Andrew Jackson, the president responsible for the Trail of Tears. Like the guy responsible for helping to violate a bunch of treaties with the Native Americans and the forcible expulsion of those Native Americans from particular southern states into places like Oklahoma, including the deaths of presumably tens of thousands of Native Americans along the way, hence it being called the Trail of Tears. So just really well done by the optics folks at the White House. But it gets better. President Trump it's obvious he doesn't know anything about the Navajo Code Talkers, and he has not actually done any research on it. So he goes in his brain to, what's a joke I know about Native Americans? Oh yeah, Elizabeth Warren. And so this is a thing that actually happened in real life in the White House with the President of the United States. To really enjoy this clip fully, you have to keep your eyes not on President Trump, but on the Navajo gentleman, the U.S. Marine Corps honoree, whom he is talking to, because it is astonishingly great. What you really need is the slow pan and then the Larry David music coming in to make this complete. But watch this clip. It's just great.
It wasn't just what President Trump said about Elizabeth Warren, it's where he said it, at an event to honor elderly Native American code talkers who used their tribal languages during World War II to help confound U.S. enemies.
You were here long before any of us were here, although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas.
And you can see the awkward smile from the Navajo Code Talker guy and the honoree. And if we played it for a few more seconds, he then realized how awkward it is because apparently there were people normally had to turn their face to the wall because they were laughing because it's so ridiculous. And Trump then reaches out to the Navajo guy and he goes, I like you. I like you a lot. Like really, that's how the clip continues. So that's pretty astonishing. It's pretty, that's pretty glorious Trump. I mean, there's good Trump and there's bad Trump and there's eloquent Trump and there's just glorious Trump. There's just the pure revelry of Trump. Now, a bunch of people got very upset about this. So two things can be true at once. One, Elizabeth Warren is the worst. And Elizabeth Warren lied about having Native American heritage in order to get a job at Harvard Law School. That can be true. Second thing that can also be true. It's pretty buffoonish to actually use the opportunity of honoring Native Americans to make a Native American joke about a sitting United States senator, as horrific as she may be. And she is. Elizabeth Warren's terrible. That's pretty clownish. Like, if they were having an event honoring a bunch of Jewish veterans of World War II who had served their country honorably, and then Trump dropped like a Jewish joke in the middle about like somebody who had pretended to be a Jew, it would be real weird. Like that's a hell of a non sequitur from the President of the United States. But what's amazing about this is that the media insists that Trump was being a racist. Now, Trump was not being a racist, okay? Just stop it. Just stop it. You're being stupid. It's not racist for Trump to call Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, okay? He even gets the joke wrong. The joke is Pocahontas because she's not really Pocahontas. She's pretend Pocahontas. Everyone has been making this joke for several years, really since 2014, I believe, 2014, 2012, maybe even. We've been making this joke about Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren pretended to be a Native American for her own personal gain. In fact, here was Elizabeth Warren. Do we have tape of Elizabeth Warren talking about her cheekbones? She was specifically asked about, how do you know that you're Native American? This is years ago. And she explained that she knew she was Native American because she had high cheekbones. This is clip number 5.
Warren says her great-great-great-grandmother is Cherokee, but genealogists have yet to confirm that. Warren referenced a photo of her grandfather on her mantle as part of the family lore.
My Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do, because that's how she saw it. And she said, and your mother got those same great cheekbones, and I didn't. She thought this was the bad deal she had gotten in life.
That was Elizabeth Warren's defense for Native American ancestry, that there was a picture on her mantle with high cheekbones. That's not racist at all. Right? The media are still treating Elizabeth Warren like a legit 2020 contender after she said that she thought that she was Native American because Papa had high cheekbones in a photo, and her grandmother thought that that was not fair. Yeah. By the way, Cherokees questioned Elizabeth Warren's story. In fact, Cherokee sources talked about powwow chow. They said that when they tried to track down why Elizabeth Warren said she was Native American, Elizabeth Warren said she was Native American because she had a recipe that appeared in an Oklahoma publication. She's from Oklahoma, and the publication was called Powwow Chow. Okay, Powwow Chow was supposed to be exactly as it sounds, like a cookbook of Native American recipes. Her recipe was a recipe for crab bisque. No, I am not kidding. Because obviously this was something the Cherokees did way back when, is they would hunt the crab on the plains of Oklahoma. They would go out there with their bow and arrow and they would hunt the crab. This is how the crab became extinct in Oklahoma. It was because of powwow chow and crab bisque. It turns out she'd copied the recipe from like Harper's Bazaar or something and then just sent it in to powwow chow. Native American researchers looked at this, Cherokee researchers. They said, this is not true about Elizabeth Warren at all. Here was a Cherokee researcher talking to Fox News about it several years back.
When we first discovered that Elizabeth Warren was claiming to be a Cherokee many years ago, she had published a recipe in a book called Powwow Chow.
Sure.
And I first became aware of her at that time. But this most recent bout has been probably about sometime in April. We heard her name again and became very concerned because she was moving into a public realm that could impact the Cherokee Nation and the Cherokee people generally.
Yeah, I guess what is it specifically that you find offensive or bothersome about this?
Well, at first we were not offended because many people have claims of American Indian ancestry,
Sure.
And that's not offensive. What we found offensive was that whenever we presented her with her genealogy and showed her clearly that she was not a Cherokee Indian and that her family throughout history had never been connected to the Cherokees, she continued to make that claim.
Okay, so what is the reason? This story goes back to 2012. So what is the reason why Elizabeth Warren continued to maintain her Cherokee ancestry? Because apparently, according to William Jacobson over at Legal Insurrection, she used that claim in order to get a job at Harvard Law School. She claimed that she was basically a minority, and that's how she got her job at Harvard Law School. This is according to Jacobson on April 30th, 2012. Quote, Democratic Senate candidate Elizabeth Warren has been all over the newspapers the past several days after a revelation that Harvard Law School identified her as a Native American faculty member in the mid-1990s. Warren contends she was unaware of the designation by HLS and that it played no role in her hiring. She asserts her Native American heritage is family lore. Subsequently, David Bernstein discovered that in annual reports by the Association of American Law Schools, Warren was listed as a minority faculty member. Since AALS bases such information solely on what faculty self-reports, the information must have come from Warren herself. So it is not clear, apparently, that she filled out the forms herself, but it's weird. Like, where would they get this information anyway? And HLS claimed that it had nothing to do with her hiring, that she was Native American, but it probably did. They were doing affirmative action hiring at the time. So what is more racist? Trump referring to her as Pocahontas because she faked her Native American ancestry, or Elizabeth Warren faking her Native American ancestry? Well, according to the media, what's truly terrible is that Trump would call her Pocahontas in the first place. So Elizabeth Warren is featured on national media acting with righteous umbrage at the notion that Donald Trump would call her Pocahontas. And then what's weird is when she starts breaking out into colors of the wind. That's the really weird part of this clip.
You know, this was supposed to be an event to honor heroes, people who put it all on the line for our country, and people who, because of their incredible work, saved the lives of countless Americans and our allies. It is deeply unfortunate that the President of the United States cannot even make it through a ceremony honoring these heroes without having to throw out a racial slur.
Oh, it's a racial slur.
Donald
Okay.
Trump
Like, listen, Elizabeth, Professor Warren, as I knew her when we were at Harvard Law School, Professor, Senator, let me just point out to you that you are the one pretending to be Native American. Okay, you're the one who's talking about what happens just around the river bend and talking to Old Mother Willow, right? You're the one who's doing all this stuff. Like all of this nonsense about how it was Trump who coined all of this and that it's Trump's. Listen, Do I think it's ridiculous for Trump to break into a Navajo code talker event to make fun of Elizabeth Warren for calling herself Native American? Yes, it's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's buffoonish. It's ridiculous. It's just, you run out of thesaurus adjectives. But it is equally ridiculous for the media to pretend that it's racist for Trump to call Warren Pocahontas when she's the one pretending to be Native American. And yet Don Lemon on CNN did exactly that. Oh, it's an attack on people of color. Elizabeth Warren isn't a people of color. Elizabeth Warren is whiter than this piece of paper. Elizabeth Warren is the whitest person in America. Okay, she's whiter than Sean King. Here's Don Lemon trying to turn this into Trump's a racist.
Are you racist?
I am the least racist person that you have ever met. I am the least racist person.
Here's what everyone should know. Just because you say you're not racist doesn't make it so. Especially if you say, do, and defend racist behavior over and over and over again.
Okay, so no. Okay, so it's like using the Pocahontas thing as the example is just ridiculous. I was unfortunate enough to be watching CNN yesterday during the Wolf Blitzer hour, and I have to admit that that Wolf Blitzer, his show is amusing to me because virtually all of the show is just Wolf acting really puzzled about life. So that's really fun to watch. Like every time somebody finishes a story, he goes, and that's a very, very important story. And then on to the next story. he's sort of a traffic cop for news. But in any case, Wolf Blitzer has on a full panel, and it's Dana Bash, and it's Chris Chaliza, and I'm trying to remember who the third person was who's there. And they're all just beside themselves. Trump, it's so racist. It's just so derogatory to the office for Trump to do this. Listen, is it unpresidential? Yes. Are you not used to this by now? I mean, President Trump has been the president for nearly a year at this point. Are we really expecting him to be the hallmark of decency and poise? Because that ain't happening. But the attempt to turn it into something racist is truly absurd, especially when, again, you want to know why Trump gets support? Trump gets support because now the media, they can't help themselves. Instead of just saying, utterly inappropriate for Trump to make these comments in front of a bunch of Navajo code talkers, instead of them just to say that, they have to go overboard and say it's racist. And then all of his people go, wait a second, the person who's racist is the person pretending to be the Native American and talking about why high cheekbones make you Native American, right? That's actually